Yes, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I received two questions from one of the students in this class. So one question is about civic pluralism. So the question goes like, civic pluralism has the same objective with muhibah, yeah? And then the student view that um, there is there is similarities in terms of the objectives of civic pluralism and Mohiba, but the student is also not very sure if his or her understanding is right because in her or in his opinion, civic pluralism does not involve um, the idea of you know the real and self or a single God uh, that is reflected differently in different religions. Or what she is trying to say that civic pluralism does not concern with the concepts of the ultimate, just like the idea of John Hicks. Yeah? And in her opinion, civic pluralism is more of the recognition on the diversity. Yeah? So let me share with you some of the perspectives that I have uh, acquired from my readings as well as from a thesis written by my student, also an Indonesian student, um, about civic pluralism and its development in Indonesia. Okay, so for your information, that civic pluralism is another extension of religious pluralism. Religious pluralism evolved uh, in view of the contextual need. Yeah. So as you know that in Indonesia and in Malaysia, religious pluralism has received strong rejection from among the Muslims and especially from the religious agencies lah. Yeah. I think in Indonesia some of the ulama um, um, has decided that religious pluralism um, is sinful because it leads men or it exposes Muslims to shirik. Yeah? In Malaysia, some states have gazetted that religious pluralism um, is a deviant teaching. Yeah, is a deviant teaching. So now religious pluralism seems not compatible to the local understanding and belief. Therefore, I think this is my humble opinion. Um, Supporters of religious pluralism uh, try to venture new possibilities that religious pluralism can be permeated under new tagline or new philosophy that is more compatible to the local context. Yeah, as you know that religious pluralism is globally accepted, especially in the Western countries. Yeah. Now, if it is to be, uh, adopted in Muslim countries, there should be modifications to religious pluralism, and civic pluralism seem to be a type of modification in the hope that it can suit the needs of the local context, especially the Muslims context. Lah. Yeah. So civic pluralism, just like what the uh, student asked me, it seems to advocate the idea of values or ethics of the people. Yeah. So it talks about diversity, tolerance towards different values that people hold. Yeah? So, and also it talks about the responsibilities of men in a country, uh, or how do you call it? The norms of citizenship. Yeah, how someone should behave as a good citizen. Yeah, so it seems that civic pluralism is trying to educate the modern people on how to behave uh, properly, especially in the context when they are living together with people of different religions, ethnics, values, and so on and so forth. Basically, it celebrates the idea of coexistence. This is in line with the context of us living in the globalized world, and we have what we call it, orientations, religions, ethnics, so on and so forth. Okay, so how do we deal with this diversity in the context of modern time? Okay, so on the surface, yes, civic pluralism seems very compatible to our current needs. Except that if we go deeper and if we look at um, what are the demands coming out from the supporters of religious pluralism, then we will find that there are some red alerts to the Muslims. Yeah. Mm. So basically, among the things that are propagated by the proponents of civic pluralism are equality. Yeah, so this is one of the important agenda under civic pluralism, which is equality. Now, this equality permeates into the question of gender, the question of sexual orientation, the question of religious rights. Now, for example, in Indonesia, there have been very strong demands for the equality of the rights of religions, Muslims, non-Muslims, which also include among the most alarming demand made under the banner of civic pluralism is the equal right should be given to the indigenous religions. Yeah. So as you know, that Indonesia has many indigenous religions, and they are now, the proponents of civic pluralism are demanding that the right of the indigenous people are to be regarded as equal to the right of the major religions recognized under the Pancasila in Indonesia. So if you look carefully, it exposes the idea of all religions to be regarded as equal under the Pancasila. So, and this, of course, has been given a lot of debate because already you know that under the interpretations of Pancasila, there have been divisions of interpretations until, at certain point they have agreed upon uh, some opinion about Pancasila, especially with regard to the rights of religion. So basically, in Indonesia, there is recognition towards the major religion in Indonesia, which include Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, and I think last 2 3 years when I went to a international conference in Batam, there was also strong tendency and strong support for Confucianism to be regarded as one of the major religion in Indonesia. Now, with this call of civic pluralism, they are asking for the rights of indigenous religions to be recognized, same like the major religions that I've mentioned just now. Okay? So the question put forward by the oppositions of religious pluralism, civic pluralism, is that how many indigenous religions are to be recognized, because you know that Indonesia is a very diverse country and there are many indigenous religions, and they are very sporadic distribution of indigenous regions. Are we in the position to recognize them all? And especially because there are opinions saying that these indigenous religions, some of them uh, do not roots does not or do not have roots in Indonesia. In fact, they were kind of syncretism or new religions, or simply deviant teachings lah. Deviant teachings of particular religions. So this is one of the problems with regard to the equality of religions permeated under the banner of civic pluralism. Secondly is the question of uh, equality of genders. Yeah. So in the past, when we talk about equality of genders, we landed on the question of feminism, that women has been demanding for the equal footing or the leveling of the rights of women and uh, men, um, in every aspects of life lah, education, working sectors, um, what you call that, in the social, economic sector, so on and so forth lah. However, you are also aware, I believe, that the discourse of gender in the in this century, 21st century, has changed significantly in comparison to the discourse of gender in the 19th or 20th century. The 21st century witnessed that the discourse of gender has evolved into the question of the third gender, or maybe the fourth gender. Yeah? The third gender with regard to the LGBT, the right of LGBT, and the rights of the people who question their gender, and the right of the people that have mixed sexual orientation. So the call for civic pluralism seem to be in the side of this discourse of of the LGBT, of the queer, and also of the people of bisexualism. Yeah, on the view that um, these people have the rights to coexist. These people also have the right as a citizen, and their rights are to be recognized by the state. Yeah. So this is the second thing with regard to civic pluralism and the values it propagates under the modern state in the context of postmodernism and 21st century globalization. And the third issue is with regard to freedom of religion. Now, what about freedom of religion? As you know, that religious pluralism takes the idea that all religions are valid path to the same truth. Now, in civic pluralism, it does not advocate disputes or theological equality among the religions, yeah? But it is more of recognizing the freedom of religion as the right of citizen. So it has been detached from theological perspective. Yeah? I mean, freedom of religion is now detached from the theological perspective to citizens' rights, to social rights, to moral rights, in the sense that it is moral enough to give a man his freedom to decide his religion. Yeah, so that is very compatible to the right of citizen, because a citizen should be given a right or the right to decide what he thought is good for him. Now, in the context of religion, this is also demanded, yeah, under the banner of civic pluralism, in the sense that man should have the right to decide what religion is good for him in line with his right as a citizen of a modern state. So that would be my answer for the questions with regard to civic pluralism. So I anticipate that the discourse of religious pluralism will be replaced with this discourse of civic pluralism in the years to come. Yeah. All right. So the second question comes from group 5, uh, and asking about what is normative pluralism. Yeah. And how it is related to religious pluralism. Okay, so the word normative perhaps give you some ideas of what normative religious pluralism is. Yeah, because if you look at the word norms, it talks about something that is accepted as common, yeah, as positive value, and as a standard. When you talk about something that is standard, norms is when you accept something as a standard. So normative religious pluralism is kind of standard pluralism acceptable to the people. All right, so hold on. All right, sorry, I had to interject this. Okay, and then what is normative religious pluralism? So, normative religious pluralism and non-normative pluralism. So, normative pluralism is pluralism that accept certain values, because as you see that religious pluralism tries to advocate for equality of religions, right? In the sense that there is only one standard for all religions in terms of the ultimate truth, in the sense that this ultimate truth is defined differently in different religions. That is the standard. So you cannot wrong one particular religion based on your own religion. So this is the so-called non-normative religious pluralism, because you cannot blame other religions for their conception of the truth just because their conception of the truth is different from your conception of the truth. This is non-normative religious pluralism. Normative religious pluralism tries to acknowledge the the standard of truth in particular religion. So basically, this normative religious pluralism is a new way of advocating religious pluralism without having to leveling all religions, or leveling the concept of truth in all religions. Yeah. So Islam is true based on the standard it propagates to its followers. Christianity is true based on its standards propagates to its followers. But the truth of that religion is acceptable as far as that particular religion is concerned. Do you follow or not? So it means that they are not simply equal, they are not simply at one level, they have their own standards to be accepted by the particular adherent. So this is normative religious pluralism. Okay, what normative religious pluralism tries to differentiate, uh, from religious pluralism is that religious pluralism seems to equalize, leveling all religions as the same, different manifestation of the same ultimate. But normative religious pluralism recognize the different standard, the different values put forward by the different religions with regard to the concept of the ultimate. So basically, just to acknowledge the existence of different religions with different conceptions of the truth. Right? So this is in response to the problems of Christianity, which couldn't accept the idea of the truth as prevalent in the different religions. All right. So that would be my answer to your question. And please, I welcome your question in the next class or in the next session, and I will answer it in class so everybody can benefit from the question. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.